Hello, lovely Robin, all the way
No,
in Virginia in the USA.
all the way.
Well, I'm sitting here in England and it's a little bit chilly today. I'm not sure what the weather's doing there.
Freezing, freezing.
Well, I'm so excited. Whether it's freezing or not, we're going to have a really warm chat, a little coffee chat.
Absolutely.
I coach in the spotlight chat, and I'm really looking forward to sharing a little part of you with everybody who's going to be watching this video.
So
So let's dive right in. One of the things that I really admire about you is how you've pivoted your career. You were a professional ballet dancer,
yes,
right? And
yes,
teacher.
yes.
And you've now launched a kids life coaching practice. So what made you decide to do that? Tell us a bit more.
Well, I have always loved working with kids. Even when I was a little kid, I always went to the babies and wanted to hold the babies. And I think my first babysitting job, I was 13 for a 6-week-old baby. And I've always loved working with kids. And as I went through my career as a student, ballet student, and then a teacher, but before that, a performer, um, I was always very conscious of the stresses and anxieties
Yeah.
that go along with trying to achieve your dream. And I had no guidance in how to do that. Um, and I since I was drawn to the kids that seemed to be struggling, I love all kids, whether they're struggling or not, but the ones who were struggling, I think I identified with them in a subliminal way. And I didn't have anybody to help me through my struggles and anxieties. So I love latching onto them and helping them find out their different strengths that they didn't even know they had, and helping them overcome their weaknesses by improving and discovering their strengths rather than waiting until they have a problem and then say, well, how can we fix this? Let's get
Love
rid of
it.
the problem before it starts.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we do at the Kids Life Studio, right? We use a strengths-based approach.
Right.
And so often, in traditional therapy, when children have challenges, it's about fixing. And I love the fact that you preempted it and you went, well, this is what I would have needed when I was younger and moving through my career, and that you've actually stepped into your power and you've done something about it. You've become part of the solution. So that's so exciting. So speaking of Kids Life Studio, how did our organization help you in this process of coaching children?
Well, first of all, it gave feet to my fantasy.
Oh,
It
yes.
actually gave
It gave
me
you ballet shoes to
it
your
gave me ballet. It's like I
the
always say in
pointy one.
dancing, everybody has a story to tell, and your feet get you across the stage to tell it. And I feel like
Oh,
the Kids Life Studio gave me the tools on how to deal with my strengths and weaknesses, because not only did it teach me how I could actually work with these kids and minister with kids, it actually helped me because I loved going back to thinking about, well, when I was a child, what would have helped me? And everything you teach and say in KLS, everything is what I wanted to impart to children, but didn't know how.
yes.
And in the meantime, I thought, oh, wait a minute, that's helping me now. So I guess I never grew up on the inside because it was ministering to my inner child as well as to how I can work with children.
Robin, I'm having a goosebump moment because that's the magic of this training. It wasn't something that we went about putting together purely based on a clinical side. There was a very much a deeper aspect to this, because all of us as coaches to children using play-based coaching, it's about what we bring to the table and being good role models. And so part of that is a transformation process. So that's kind of part of the training. And that's the biggest joy that I get, is seeing the transformation, well, in myself, doing this for over 2 decades, but in you and all the other people who go through the training. And it's just going to continue because we continuously work in progress, and we can't expect to coach children if we're not willing to do our own inner work and do the hard stuff.
Heal
And that's
yourself.
one thing I admire about you, Robin, is that you really did the hard stuff.
Well, thank you.
And
It was hard.
yeah, you did the hard stuff, and your personal experiences, you brought that into it, but you didn't allow any excuses or obstacles to stand in your way, which is the hallmark of a really great kids life coach. Because at the end of the day, if you want your children that you're coaching to excel, you're going to have to walk the walk and talk the talk.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I learned as a ballet dancer is an obstacle is not a barrier. it's a speed bump. And the
Oh,
speed bump just
yes.
means, I don't know what you call them in England. We call them speed, it's those things they put in the road so
Yes,
people
yes.
don't go
Yeah.
crashing through. And a speed bump to me simply means slow down a second and just take a look and don't crash yourself. And I had a lot of speed bumps growing up. Kids have a lot of speed bumps, especially now in these days. Kids
It's
have way too many speed
changed.
bumps,
It's
way too many
changed
speed
so
bumps.
much, hasn't it?
Yeah, and
And
it's
it's
not going back.
there are a lot of things that are out of their control. And I think one of the great things about play-based coaching is that we give children the power to make good choices for themselves, relating to the things that they can control.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that's the joy of what we do.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you come with such a lovely, vast background and experience. But is there any particular area that really like float your boat? I know, you know, you were a ballet dancer and you have experience on that, but like, if you could wake up every day as a kids life coach, what specific area would you want to cover? What would your niche be?
Okay, that is a question that at first was really hard for me to think about because
Yeah.
I see all these children. I used to see thousands, you know, throughout all my years. I would see hundreds every day, thousands over the years. And I want, with so many different issues, I wanted to be able to help them with everything. And I can't help with everything. And as I have gone through the study and realized what really floats my boat is taking a child who is so insecure and has no confidence, but is filled with anxiety and stress. Perhaps a mom will say, he's not sleeping very well at all. And my daughter can't get to sleep. I have to give them melatonin every night and they're just so anxious. I think that's my niche, is children who have anxiety and stress and no self-confidence, because I like to watch that light bulb go off when
Yes,
they
yes.
hit that aha moment. And in my case studies, there was one moment that seemed consistent in every case study. It was always when we did our perspectives and how we had to draw that picture, hearing the same words, but our pictures looked so different. But that's how we perceived certain things based on our upbringing and our
Belief.
perspective and our beliefs, and watching the child go, oh, now I get it.
Get it now.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah, and that's the wonderful thing about play-based coaching is we use really practical tools to
Yeah.
get really complex messages across to children in such a way that they get it. They
Yeah.
really do. And
Yeah.
it's that aha moment that makes it such a joy.
Yeah. And it was very hard for me to not cry when they did that because
Oh,
I
I
didn't
still
want them.
cry. I still
I
cry.
know,
You're
but I didn't want them
human.
to think they had done something wrong. No, these are
Oh.
happy tears, happy tears. I'm so happy for you.
Yeah. You know, Robin, going back to the sleeping and the anxiety, one of the things about our coaching program and the model that you are using is that sleeping is one of the integral parts that we look at. We look at sleeping, eating, exercise, we look at positive leisure time, and those are kind of like little building blocks. And if we get those building blocks in place, you start seeing transformation, which is what you've seen in the children that you've worked with.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a much needed niche. So I know that your organization is called Flying High. Is that
Yeah,
right?
fly high, fly high.
Tell us a bit more about where that came from. Like, what does it mean?
Well, I always think that kids can do a little, well, not just kids, everybody. We can always do,
We're all kids still.
we're all kids, absolutely. And we can all do just a little bit better, if not a lot better, than we thought we could. Our humanness always holds us back. And we are afraid to dream a little higher, which I love the vision board at the end of the session. But we all need to dream a little bit higher, but we don't, because we think, well, that's just stupid. I'm not built to be a ballet dancer. I don't have the brains to become a doctor. I don't have the gift of gab to be a writer. Whatever it is, fill in the blank. And the little tagline at the end of Fly High is, the sky is not your limit.
Oh, I
And
love it.
yeah, and I just think that in order to go where we want to go, we need to take that step just a little bit higher. My grandmother escaped from Russia when she was very young with her son tied to her back. And I said to her when I was a little girl, Grandma, how did you do that? Because she swam the river into Poland. She did amazing things and came across to Ellis Island in New York City with her son, started a whole new life. And I said, how did you do that? I mean, how did you do that? Crawling under barbed wire. She said, well, I just kept putting one foot in front of the other, one more step, one more step. And we can all take one more step. We just can. And when you're a child, when you say, oh, that was so good, you did such a wonderful job, the first thing a kid wants to say is, oh, well, if you think that was good, wait till you see this. And they always want to push just a little bit more. And that's how they get where they need to be.
And also coaching is so wonderful because your grandmother had this inner resilience, right? Because she had something to work towards. And that's what coaching is. It gives children that inner resilience that is sometimes missing because life is throwing all these curveballs at them and they don't really know how to navigate it. So you just, their tour guide, holding their hand until they're ready to fly high on their own, right? So one of my favorite quotes, and I don't know who the quote is by, is no bird soars too high if he soars with his own wings.
I like that.
Yeah, I need to have a look. I need to have a look who that is, but it's one of my favorite quotes. And you know, we tend to see parents measuring their children up against one another. And if we just let children flourish and grow at their own pace, at their own time, with the support and guidance that they need, which is what you're giving them, that's when the magic happens.
Yeah.
So, yeah, sorry, Robin, you were going to say.
I was just going to say, I had many times when I was teaching ballet, I would have moms come up to me and say, oh, I just love ballet and I wish I'd taken it as a kid. And I'd love my daughter to be able to do it, or my son, but they just don't have the right body. And I'm thinking, all right, they've got legs, they've got arms, they've got a head. That's all they need. No, they'd never be successful. If they're enjoying themselves and they're learning something, they're successful. And one of my greatest joys as a teacher is taking a child who might have been barred from another studio because they didn't have the perfect body, whatever that is.
And that was me. That was me as a child.
I know.
I wish I had you as a teacher.
I do too.
As my coach.
I do too. And but the fun thing is, these very children, we never mention body in class. We just mention the stuff that every child has to hear. Turn your leg out a little bit more, stand a little, you know, all the different corrections that everybody has to get. And these children didn't realize they didn't have the perfect body. And they became dancers. They became dancers. And that is successful. Yeah, it's all in
the mindset.
It's all in your mindset, but it's all in your heart as well. They have to have that drive. This is what I want. And if somebody wants something badly enough, there is a place in the world where that will fit in. Absolutely. And it will be used. So absolutely. The desire was put there. So
I mean, Robin, you're such an inspiration, honestly. So like, what is your mission and vision for children?
I'm going to combine them rather than saying my mission is this and my vision is that. But I want to be able to give children the confidence and the motivation to go after their dream and realize their dream. Now, the dreams can shift as they get older. We all do when we discover, I didn't know that existed. I didn't know I could do that. So that's going to shift somewhat. But I want them to be able to have the confidence and motivation to know that whatever they believe, they can achieve. And everybody's sense of achievement is a little bit, their perspective is a little bit different in some way. But my vision is for them to be able to understand this at a young enough age where we don't have to pick up the pieces once they're teenagers and adults and pick up shattered pieces and try to mosaically fit them back together. One of the things I write also, and I write blogs and children's books. And one of my favorite pictures that I felt I had was of a kaleidoscope. And a kaleidoscope is filled with broken pieces in a little mirror. And when you turn it the right way, it becomes a beautiful picture. And I don't want the children to have to be broken pieces. I want them to be whole pieces that just get bigger and more beautiful as they move up. Broken pieces can be redeemed and put into a kaleidoscope and create a lovely picture. But to be able to start as a child and just fly. I just think that is crucial. So I want to catch them when they're young.
I know it is about catching them when they're young, but also for them to make peace with the fact that life is going to throw them curveballs. And that's what life is. It throws you challenges, but it's how you face those challenges. And it's about putting those belief systems in place at a young age, before the age of 12, which is where we love to coach children before the age of 12, because developmentally their brains are still hardwired and susceptible to our inputs. Whereas after that age, it starts becoming a little bit trickier and more difficult. It's not impossible. It's just harder. So I'm completely with you. So I'm going to put you on the spot here. If you had one message for children around the world, what would it be, Robin?
Nothing is unfixable. Every problem truly does have a solution. It may not be the solution you thought it was, but it will have a solution that will leave them fulfilled and happy and joy. I actually place a difference between joy and happiness. We need both. I firmly believe happiness can be circumstantial, but sometimes we get a disappointment. Things happen that we weren't expecting. And so for the moment, we're unhappy, but we can have that inner joy, which is that confidence and hope that, well, it's still going to work out. Something will come along. And often, if not most of the time, it's better than what we originally envisioned.
Love it. Oh, Robin, if I was there, I'd give you this massive big hug.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a big hug. But I want to say, all the best for your coaching practice. I know you're going to fly high. I've seen it already. Just assessing your portfolio and watching you grow, and not just watching you grow, but like your willingness to actually grow alongside the children that you're coaching. That is the hallmark of a true children's change maker.
Oh, it's more fun to do it together.
Oh, I'm telling you,
cheer each other on.
Children teach us so much. And I just love that you were a willing and open and receptive teacher, and at the same time giving them so much value. So I'm going to watch the space to see where you're going and what you're doing. It's so exciting. But I wish you all the best, Robin. And thank you so much for your time today.
My pleasure.
Take care.